You're watching iRacing on the Ghostfire Media Network.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Daytona International Speedway, the world center of racing, for the first round of the AOLL Cup Series and the Chase. I'm Josh Laston for Ghostfire Media, and with me tonight is Mr. Carl Henderson.
Hey Josh, we're excited about this. Honestly, for an opening race to the Chase here, I could not pick a track that could cause more chaos.
And you know what? It's gonna be absolute chaos, because the biggest thing that everybody needs to sit here and remember is this is going to be a win and you're in. So we've got 16 guys all looking to make it into the next cut. And you know what? I'm kind of curious. It looks like we may have open qualifying?
Well, that's puzzling.
I'm actually very curious if I maybe just
Are you live? Oh, there they go. Okay, they're probably about to get started now.
I was really curious because everyone seemed to have come out at the same time. But in all honesty, what we're going to be looking at tonight, did we missed qualifying? What is I'm real confused.
Yeah, this is puzzling. It looks like perhaps they had open qualifying, then they just skipped it. I'm not sure what happened.
I'm actually really confused. I think we may have just had a race that was mis-set up tonight. But all right, let's go ahead and run through here. We may actually be jumping over to a new session depending on what happens here. So we aren't going to say too much actually about qualifying. The one thing that you will note tonight is anytime on timing and scoring you see something highlighted in yellow, those are the guys that are in the chase. They are the ones that are vying for that final position, and we actually just found out apparently it was random draw for qualifying. So
Yep. So
okay, that sounds like fun. And honestly, it's kind of entertaining because our top 5 out on the track are all favorites for winning this. To where starting on pole is Joshua Hannard, Blake Gordon's in second, Steve Gottschalk in third, Justin Anderson fourth, Dan Shirley fifth, Sean Carmody in sixth, Tony Pandon seventh, Justin Rodden eighth, ninth is Brian McFerrin, 10th is Jason Swan.
And 11th, we have Chris Bassini. 12th is Andrew Burgess. 13th, Mike Bass. 14th, Joe Dinsmore. 15th, Kevin Pearson. 16th, Kevin Oz. 17th is Adam Wood. 18th is Timothy St. Jean.
And my stuff's all out of sorts from updating software. And Well,
I can probably finish it. Let's see here. 19th is Blake Ziti. 20th is William Queenville.
And 21st, Brandon Bernhardt. 22nd, Mike Burgess. 23rd, Johnny Downey. 24th, Dan Witt, who's making his return after an absence. Ross Gage is 25th. Steve Dominy is 26th. 27th is John Gordon. And 28th is Don Warnke.
And 29th, we have Derek Schilling. In 30th, Ed Springer. 31st is Justin Edwards. 32nd, Nick Adams. 33rd, Christopher Oliver. And in 34th, Randy Pepper.
And we are currently halfway down the back stretch. And it looks like we have a few people that aren't actually getting started, hanging out. And one of those is Jason Swan. The other is Dan Witt, who, of course, looking forward to seeing Big Red back out on track tonight.
Yeah, it's a little puzzling. I'm not sure if Jason Swan's having issues, but he is a Chase driver, so this could hurt for him.
No, it'll definitely be a little bit rough, but at the same time, we're talking anything can happen at Daytona as long as you can stay in that main pack. But pace car is peeling off, and we are about to go green. With Joshua Hanner leading us to the flag. He is going to go ahead, get himself moving, and it looks like Blake Gordon may have actually gotten himself in front on that start, and he has Justin Anderson right behind him, giving him a good push. And that low line is starting to fall back just ever so slightly, with Justin Anderson locked in with Blake Gordon.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too concerned about it at this point. A lot of times it's just about like, what drivers you have around you that work well together with you. And we see Steve Gottschalk get a great push to Hanner there, but we've seen before Justin Anderson, Blake Gordon work really well together. I think once you see, and again, those guys aren't teammates, but I think once you see some of Hanner's teammates get up there, Chris Martini, Nick Adams, Chris Oliver, you'll see a little bit more help there.
Well, and that's the big thing is we've got 80 laps tonight. This race is not going to be won at this point. Basically, once you hit about the midpoint of the race, the first fuel stop, that's about the time that you need to start making the moves to put yourself in position to win this race.
Yeah, you're right, spot on with that. But you can certainly lose the race at this point. So, hope all these guys are being real smart out there with what they're doing.
Well, and that's exactly it. Basically, we've gone single file with the exception of a backpack that has been almost fully dropped to where they're going to have to line themselves up, start getting pushed. Otherwise, they're going to lose
out.
That. And, of course, it is.
That's the 82 right there.
Mike Burgess.
That is Mike Burgess.
So let's take a quick look. Oh, just gets turned and takes out 3 people at the back of the field.
I mean, he kind of got through it without incident, but I'm not so sure he got turned there. I think we need another look at the replay. It kind of looked like he came up a little bit, but it's tough to tell from that angle.
Yeah, that angle's not really the best. And oh God, did they take away my? They did. They took away my favorite view. And we gotta back that up just a little bit farther. See what happened here.
Yeah, Mike Burgess came up there.
Yeah, that's one of those. I would actually probably end up blaming that one on the side draft.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm not saying anyway, like,
But this is definitely not the track that you want to be with any kind of damage.
And that was the 87 there. Was that Derek Schilling?
That is Derek Schilling.
Yeah, Derek Schilling. Derek Schilling actually got an EOL for that. So I'm not sure if he accepted responsibility for it or what, but from my perspective, that was definitely not on him.
Having run with Derek as much as I have on Wednesday nights, he's always going to be the first person to apologize. He's a true gentleman in these situations. And
honestly, ultimately, it doesn't matter. Here.
And I am very surprised to see Blake Gordon staying out, because this is going to be a fuel race.
Well, it's actually an AOLL race. See what I did there? I feel like Blake was sort of in a position, probably feeling like he was worried that he was going to come in and then everybody was going to stay out, and then he'd be, stuck back in, the mess as people are trying to, jockey position. We've seen that happen to Blake before, where he gets caught up in wrecks. So I think he may have just been kind of, being very cautious.
But it looks like everybody, with a few exceptions, did come in, and those extra 5 laps of fuel, that could be huge, and it's just that. It's fuel.
Yeah.
Few people, maybe those who got caught up in that wreck, grab tires, but you shouldn't really need to change them here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if a caution comes out at the halfway point, yeah, maybe I might take tires just to help the maneuverability a little bit, make the car a little more responsive. But hey, well, we got another caution here, got a small break. Why don't we give the little points thing I made a shot here?
Nothing.
See if it works.
Oh, there it goes. We've got it loaded.
Hey, look at that. So basically, what this is showing here is if the race were to stop right now, the guys below the line are the ones that would be eliminated at the end of this round, or would be below the cutoff line, and the guys above are obviously above. And these are non-official points, but it does take into account bonus points and things like that. So that's where we are right now. And we see it's going to shuffle around a little bit. People are kind of moving around
as
the field.
We start to get ourselves side by side as the lights on the pace car are off. So we've got one more really long pace lap before we're back to racing.
And I'll tell you what, one thing, I've looked at is, with this points format, the points format throughout the regular season, and actually here as well, is, it's basically, 43 points to the winner before bonus points, and then, 1 point lower for each position. So it's a linear point system. And, during the regular season, things like bonus points don't matter a ton. Like, you get, 2 points for leading a lap. Like, okay, big deal. But when we're talking about 3-round segments, leading a lap is huge. It's a huge deal. And not the 3 laps, sorry, three race segments. Leading a lap is a huge deal, getting those 2 bonus points. So I think throughout these rounds, you're going to see guys taking chances to try to get every little bonus point at the end.
Well, and that is a certainty, but let's go ahead and take a quick look at the field as it stands. Blake Gordon, and this may have been part of the strategic decision that these guys made. We look at this pack, he's got Sean Carmody right behind him, Blake Zede a lane back on the outside, and then Brandon Bernhardt 2 rows behind him in the same lane. So these Endeavor guys, they get a great jump as we have just absolute chaos on that restart. It looks like Mike Bass was involved. He was the first one to pop up here for me.
Oh, there were a lot of guys involved.
Oh, that's the big one, and we didn't even make it 10 laps.
It was the low speed big one. Yeah, that was kind of your classic accordion effect right there, and I'm starting to feel like an admin a little bit when I keep harping on this so much. But I was talking about it in the truck broadcast and how I mean, I don't know. I haven't looked at the full replay here to see what happened, but this is why the admins harp so much on tightening up restarts, because otherwise you end up with these kind of accordions.
I got to figure out where this actually started here.
It's gonna be further up. I mean, it was. I think it was the very front row on the inside that had issues.
Well, I know. I saw
or the second row, I mean.
Bernhardt ended up in that. So let's just see. Oh, it looks like we had a little accordion effect.
That's what I meant, the outside. Yeah.
Blake Ziti checks up. Kevin Haas gets into him. Ed Springer gets into him. And basically everybody else was involved.
Well, hey, I mean, think of it this way. I mean, these guys can be positive. Just about everybody's going to pick a faster pair at this point. So
well,
they're all kind of on equal field.
As Blake Gordon is there, and they're working on catching the pace car. It looks like they probably had to do a full lap there to be able to do it. And that's going to be real unfortunate for anyone that may actually have ended up with damage. And everyone, I have a feeling just about everybody's heading into pit lane right now. As Stephen Dominy is one of the few people to go ahead and stay out. Josh Hanner as well, as he's going to move up to the front of the pack. And yeah, of course, now I don't have my rear chase. Oh, it's now screenshot. Well, he looks like he made it through that without any kind of issue, even though he was in the heart of it. So
yeah, so it's pretty fun right now. I've got the point. I've got it set up on my screen to show the points for everyone, and not just people on the cutoff. And it's like shuffling all over the place right now because guys are in the pits. Points are going to change quite a bit at this point. Kind of waiting for them to level out, see where things are at when it's all said and done.
Yeah, it's real unfortunate that we've got 10 laps in, and we've got a lot of people who have managed to get their fast repair out of the way this early in the race. And that's going to make it to where we aren't, I have a feeling people are going to be a little more cautious going forward.
You know, I think there's a chance of that. I think you might see that, yeah.
At least I'm hoping.
Well, you know, again, like I went back and watched the replay there. I mean, that really was just an accordion effect. We see that happen on restarts all the time. You know, someone left a relatively large gap. They got sort of an early start. I think they kind of went with the leader did. And then the person in front of them didn't really get going, so it just, they had to slam on their brakes, the person behind them had to slam on their brakes, and next thing you know, you've got, we've made a hamburger.
Well, and that is quite the hamburger that we've got there, but right now they're shuffling, trying to get everybody around into their right positions, as Steve Dominy leads a lap and gets to dictate this restart with Joshua Hanner on his outside, Andrew Burgess, Timothy St. Jean, and then there's Mr. Justin Anderson and Mike Burgess, who was involved in that early incident.
It just goes to show you, I mean, it's so easy to recover at a track like this, but with only one fast repair here, I mean, you know, just about any time you get into an incident here, it's going to require fast repair minutes of repairs. So if you get caught up in one, you better hope you don't get caught up in another.
Yeah, as we are coming to the line, I'm gonna leave it on the chopper here because this is gonna, we'll go back to the blimp. These guys are really spread out at this point. Oh, I think they may have thrown an extra lap in there.
They extended it. Yep, they sure did.
I mean, with that kind of a brawl that we saw coming to the stripe, yeah, I can see that as being needed.
There were some guys that needed black flags cleared. I'm not quite sure what happened, but I imagine there was just a little bit of confusion on where people should line up and that sort of thing.
I would just assume that there were some passing under yellows that weren't truly required. But as we finish out this pace lap, I'm wondering if they're as spread out as they are right now, because everybody's a little gun shy of being right up on someone.
Yeah, I mean, it's relatively okay right now, but genuinely, I can remember when I first joined the AOLL, first race I raced in was Street Stocks in Charlotte, which is very similar to a super speedway in how you run it. And I can remember the admins jumping all over my case about like leaving gaps between me and the driver in front of me, and I'm like, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not going to wreck the guy in front of me. But then I started realizing, like, more and more races, it was like, oh, leaving the gap actually makes things worse. So, I mean, look, these guys are the best of them. I have no doubt that they're going to be just fine on this restart.
Well, as we are ready to watch the pace car peel in, we'll see, as, yeah, we've got some serious gaps, and at a high-speed track like this, that actually would worry me. As Steve Dominy goes on green, Joshua Hanner drops down to get right behind him, and we're good and spread out. This is going to be nice.
We were good and spread out on the restart, but what that's going to mean is that you're going to have some guys get insane runs, especially on these leaders who are just like pulling away. That is not good.
But as we look back, there's not really much of an outside line forming up until we get all the way towards the back.
Well, yeah, that's what they want. I mean, if the leaders get a big jump on you like that, you just line up, and then when you catch them, you get a huge run on them. All of them just go to the outside, and you just shoot around the leader.
Well, we've got Nick Adams, Sean Carmody, and Chris Piscini all forming up around the outside, hoping maybe they could get somebody to get out there and join them and make a push towards these front runners. And when you're only talking 3 cars against an entire line of 20, as Blake Gordon and Nick Adams actually switch positions, Nick pops back out because there's very few people in this league that are better to follow in this situation than Mr. Blake Gordon.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can just hear his internal dialogue right now as he drops down. He's like, "Oh no, Blake went up," and like, I'm Blake now. But even still, I mean, you got 4 people. I mean, Blake Gordon leading the train, I have a hard time voting against him. But,
well, it looks like Joe Dinsmore may be jumping out to join him, or that was a momentum killer right there. It's hard to tell even, but he's got a line of teammates that he is currently behind as Nick Adams slides up high. They're definitely going to need a few more people to join this party to make it work.
I honestly, I mean, if they can get people to join, I mean, those 4 guys up there are really good at super speedway racing. But what Nick Adams has stopped trying to peek outside.
As Adam Wood comes up and almost gives him a little bit of the side. But we'll see.
But yeah, I think going back to what I was saying about Nick, I mean, he needs to stay in line here. You can do stuff like that when you're, you got a huge line of people. But right now, y'all are 4 people trying to move up through the field. You got to stay lined up.
Well, as we've reached the point of having 5, and it looks like we may actually have a bit of a breakaway from those bottom 4 that are, well, they aren't the bottom in the standings, but they're definitely off the pace. And with Blake Gordon dropping down to that low line, even if it's momentarily, these three, they're going to go ahead and stall out.
Yeah, I mean, that's not surprising. And I'm not surprised that, Blake jumped back. I mean, jumped down. He wasn't gaining spots. And now, I mean, look at him. He's flying through the field.
And
even Joe are hooked up right now.
I was going to say, we've got a bit of an unholy alliance right here between Joe Dinsmore and Blake Gordon. And Blake is on that bumper, hoping to make something happen. But again, it's just two people.
Yeah, you can't do it with just two people. But again, I mean, if you stay up there and you keep working together, it gives other people on the inside confidence. Like, okay, those guys are committed to the high line. Maybe I'll go up there with them. But if you're just kind of going back and forth, nobody's going to jump up there with you because they'll think, well, he's just going to abandon me the moment I jump up there.
Well, as it looks like Sean Carmody looks to be trying to get up there to give them that extra little push. Are we going to start to see more? Yes, we do. We have the 01 jumping up there, and that's Justin Rodden, who's out of the chase, but probably is looking to prove something tonight. And right now, we're seeing some of the chase drivers really sitting there towards the bottom. Where right now, Joe Dinsmore is running in 18th place.
Yeah, and I've been watching his point standings, and right now he's above the cut line. And again, just the first race, round. But he's been flirting with it, right? He's currently ninth. Actually, on mine it's showing ninth. Maybe mine's not up to date, but yeah, he's been flirting with it. Is what I'm getting at.
Well, as long as he stays in the top 12 going forward, that's all that really matters. To where basically you just need to avoid a catastrophic finish tonight.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. You've got to survive these kind of races. So we'll see if he can survive.
As we have John Gordon out there in the comments saying that the setup for this, it's not very good tonight. And
I'd love to learn more about that.
And honestly, one of the aero package that they put together for this, it's very dependent. The only way you're going to be able to make moves, and we aren't seeing much of it, is Joe Dinsmore is along the outside of Randy Pepper in his Tampa Bay Buccaneers car. You need to be up on that quarter panel without question to pull them back.
And that's so difficult to do in sim racing for a variety of reasons, but mostly because of the fact that you're playing over the network. So there's always a little bit of jitter. There's also the fact that sometimes they'll just net code you a wreck, and it's one thing to sit there and side draft someone in real life. It's a lot more difficult to do that in iRacing because even the best of drivers aren't going to have as much control in a sim as they do in real life.
Well, it looks like we are probably going to get an explanation on what that means. We're going to get Mr. John Gordon to pop up here. Let me go ahead and grab him and see what he means. Hey, John, this is Josh and Carl. You got a copy?
Hey, boys.
Hey, great to hear from you. Unfortunately, we don't get to watch you out on track tonight, but it sounds like you've got some information to share with the viewers.
Well, I mean, the setup on this tonight is probably one of the more challenging, to say the least. You have to, if you can catch a car very slowly, but if you have no one behind you, you will not stay with that car. There's like an air bubble that will get created, and that car that you get to will get pushed away, and you will not catch back up to them. It's also extremely twitchy. So, and I don't know if it's Chevy or if it's Chevy Ford. It shouldn't make any difference, but you get behind someone, and they start getting twitchy, you start getting twitchy. It's really challenging, and you're going to find that the high line is going to have to get.
Oh, hold on. We
cars.
just see a little bit of contact between the 81 and the 7.
Yeah, that was after Joe Dinsmore on the outside. The 81, he pushed the wall a little bit, bounced off, but that was almost a big incident right there.
So,
yeah.
John, what you're telling us is these guys that are trying to make the outside work with only 3 cars right now with Blake, Sean, and Joe, it's a bit of a futile task.
Almost. You're going to need 4 or 5 cars there to make that run, and they're going to have to stay on each other's bumpers, which is going to be the challenge.
Well, we're starting to see it form up to about 8 right now, so maybe they'll be able to pull something off. As I see.
Oh, we just went spinning. The 82 is around.
As he is off on his own, luckily. Well, not for him.
Wow. That happened in front of us. Oh, caution's out now.
Oh, that was a very late caution.
That was an admin caution.
Let's go ahead and take a quick gander. And apparently you're not off track until you actually hit the grass there, but that's why we have a rewind. Oh, that is the 81 and the 82 coming together. Why can't I not remember who drives the 81?
Jason Swan.
Jason Swan. Thank you, sir.
Oh, he's so we'll keep playing it here. I'm curious why the caution was thrown. It seemed like he came back out on track with no incident.
Slow car. My guess would be it's a slow car on track and people approaching.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Like I said, that wasn't admin caution. I'm sure, Johnny's probably listening. He's probably going to message me what the reason was. But I was just a little surprised by that. I honestly, once we got past I thought it was going to be a big wreck, and it wasn't. I said, okay, well, we're going to stay green.
Well, and I mean, we are at the point that we are in the chase, and that could, for lack of a better terms, if that was an admin caution, we'll call that a gentleman's caution.
I think you probably hit the nail on the head, because he was much slower, and he didn't have any other issues with the guys coming up really quickly.
That makes sense on why Josh Hanner was getting himself up and past Steve Dominy. Coming out of the pits, we'll go ahead and go to the pit lane camera as we have Kevin Pearson stays out on track, and Joshua Hanner is going to be the first person off as the race off is looking a little crazy at this point, but
I'll tell you what, I'm going to rewind it real quick, but there was actually someone wrecked on pit road, like sandwiched between another car and the wall. I'm not sure what happened. I'm trying to see what number it was. It looks like the 70 and the 82. The 70 was in his pit stall, and the 82 is just... Yeah, I'm not sure what happened, but...
Sounds like Brandon missed the stop. He slid through the stall.
Oh, yeah, sure enough. Well, no, because it doesn't look like he backed up.
Or did
Nope.
Mike miss his stall?
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking it looks like Mike missed his stall because Brandon hit that about as perfectly as he could.
And they may have been, at that point, he went through him, I think, so it's good.
Mike was coming in hot.
Yeah, that happens.
And it looks like he may have towed, which, unfortunately, even when you're towing one pit stall back,
Yeah, it's a long one.
you're going to be there for a minute or two.
Yeah, it could just be because he was worried he might somehow get into Brandon's way and was just trying to avoid that.
So right now, as we sit, pace car lights go off. We actually have two people. We have Justin Rodden and William Klingbill looking to get their lap back. And that's as good of a reason as any to go ahead and stay out, as we're only 26 laps in here. And we are at the point that we're probably looking at one more pit stop tonight, would be my guess.
Yeah, John, what kind of fuel mileage were you getting when you were in the race?
You're looking at green flag about 24 laps.
Okay.
So, but as long as you don't slide your tires or get into a wreck, there's not going to be any need to change your tires, I wouldn't think.
See, Carl?
All right.
I told you. You don't change your tires at Daytona.
A need to change the tires, I completely agree with. But if I'm in a position, it's caution, I'm mid-pack or a little further back, I'll take tires. There's really no harm in it, you know, and it might give you a little more maneuverability.
Well, I ran about a 20-lap run in practice, and I only lost 1% on the right front.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah, that's Daytona for you. But lights are off. Pace car is going to be peeling off as they leave turn 4 with Joshua Hanner and Justin Anderson on the front row, as Josh Hanner goes only once it goes green, which is the right move here. Gets himself up in front of Justin Anderson to drop any kind of a run he may have, but it looks like it's going to turn into Joshua Hanner, Justin Anderson, and Blake Gordon as our 1, 2, and 3 right now.
Yeah, it's a good thing that Blake got a really good jump there as well, because I was worried that Justin and Hanner were going to get a huge gap between them in the field, but Blake Gordon able there to slot in, and they're all
they're
good and stacked up with the rest of the
together.
field. Yeah.
Those three, again, the title favorites, I would say, are right now 1, 2, and 3. The one thing that we'll have to watch out for is in the final round of the chase, we're back at Daytona for the road course, and that's where Justin and Blake are gonna show their all-around nature and definitely set themselves apart.
Are you saying that Hanner's not very good at road courses?
I am.
He would agree with you. Yeah, so I mean, looking at points right now, and again, we're still first race of this round, so things are changing. But man, that cut line right now, tight. And guys are moving around, and I mean, you look at those guys 9th through 11th there. I mean, come on, 1 point, 2 points separating all three of them. That's why I'm saying going out there leading a lap, that makes a huge difference with this point system.
Well, and John, since we have you in here as a veteran sim racer and easily one of the most experienced people in the league, should we really be taking too much stock in what happens at Daytona tonight outside of maybe someone getting a win to get them through?
Well, it's 1 in a set of 4, so obviously you want to get the best finish you can, but this is the crapshoot of the round.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm thinking is we're looking right now, we have the bubble drivers up. We have William Klingbill is the farthest back of our chase drivers, and where he is currently, this is not indicative of how he normally runs.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm not trying to say that in any way like these points are reflecting on these drivers or anything like that, but more that at any point they're going to have to be coming back from a points deficit after this race if they're below the cut line. Not that they're going to stay below the cut line, but they're just going to have a harder task in front of them than maybe they otherwise would.
Well, we only have 10 points.
William and Kevin, they've got their work cut out for them. They've got a lap to make up, so it's going to be hard for them to do a whole lot. Johnny's holding that lucky dog position right now, but you also remember this is lap 31 of 80 now, coming to 31 of 80.
Yeah,
so
we just hit 31.
They've still got plenty of laps left before they need to start making their move.
But these top 5, and the reason I wanted to jump to this specific view is the top 5 have broken out to a 2.5-second lead over 6th place.
Yeah, you don't typically want to see that either. But as long as they don't start racing each other, and I'd like to see the 77 and the 49 tighten up a little bit there. But if they can stay single file, they should be able to manage to hold off this other pack.
Well,
and that's why they're falling back, because you've got too wide racing back there.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to jump back here. Is there's a whole lot of people that aren't settling for being behind someone, and if we could get 2 groups and 2 solid lines here, they may be able to, if they tighten up next to each other, they may be able to get a little bit of extra speed with some side draft off of one another. But we talked about it earlier. In iRacing, you always have the netcode gremlin that's just waiting for you to get a little too close to someone.
Well, and I mean, two lines doesn't necessarily have to be much slower than a single line. But what the problem's going to be is if you start having a bunch of guys going back and forth. If you get guys jumping from the low side to the high side and back, it stalls out a line, and then that causes more people to move around, and it's just a chain reaction. So. If I were one of those guys in that pack, I'd be coming on the radio like, hey guys, this lead pack's pulling away from us. Let's get lined up. Let's go catch them, and then we'll worry about racing.
Yeah, well, it's going to be kind of hard to get a lot of people to do that. They're going to be selfish, but you can see a lot of them are starting to get that line going. But when they're racing 2 by 2, no one is going to be brave enough to make it 3 wide, because there's a lot of wiggling going on. People are bumper chasing, and then you got to remember, every movement you make on that steering wheel, you're scrubbing speed. So
yeah, absolutely.
They've got to focus on getting in line.
Honestly, this is something we mentioned earlier, and sim racing, and I'm kind of the opinion that and this is a discussion Blake and I have had often in terms of going 3 wide at Daytona, and obviously in real life, not an issue. In iRacing, it can be a little bit trickier, and I agree, there are a lot of guys out there that do bumper chase, and a lot of times, honestly, when you get right up on some bumpers, you see up at the front, how Blake Gordon's been doing with Justin Anderson, but it's a lot of times very difficult to see anything other than that. But
that's why you got to find your other visual cues.
Oh yeah, no doubt. But there's always going to be a degree of latency and lag, and that's why I think in iRacing specifically, it can be a little bit more difficult to run 3 wide at a track like this versus real life. Now Talladega, that's a different story. It's wider, there's more room. But Daytona, with this package, with the side drafting and everything, it's tricky to go 3 wide here. I agree it's possible. I'm glad to see they're not trying to do it, when we haven't even reached the halfway point yet.
No, these front guys, they're smart. They know exactly what they're doing. Josh Hanner is the unfortunate soul that's leading them through all this. He's going to burn up so much gas in this process. But they've opened up a 5-second gap at this point. And that's just astronomical. And if we stay green, even a bad pit stop isn't going to screw these guys.
Yeah, depends on how bad you're talking.
Well, yeah, definitely not going to recover from a speeding on pit lane that some of us are notorious for.
Or following your teammate on the pit road.
Well, then that's
or the grass near pit road.
Yeah. Those things that'll mess you up.
Yeah, we're all.
But you'll notice with the lead lap cars, they're that lead pack. They're not staying tight on each other. That way, they're keeping their engines cool. You don't have to worry so much about overheating, but when you want to get that pushed, you got to be right up against the back of those cars. And it looks like that second pack has an opportunity to catch them if they can stay in line and stay tight with each other.
Well, but as we're starting to see a third pack form here, led by Joe Dinsmore. We see a lot of cars in this group that are chase contenders that aren't looking at a very good finish for the night.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. And I've got to think, Joe Dinsmore was he was further back in the field earlier. We saw him working with Blake Gordon, and they were insanely fast together. I mean, they were almost making the outside work with just two of them. So I honestly think that if Joe can get back up there, he'll be a contender. But the challenge is getting back up.
But right now, if we look, this line that we're looking at, it's steel horse, steel horse, steel horse, steel horse, steel horse.
I think that's intentional.
Oh, I'm sure it's intentional. As Johnny gets a little bit wide and comes down to Steve Dominy, and that sets that lower line a little bit loose as we're starting to see these guys slot down in, get single file, and if they can catch that other group, stay single file, we may be able to have a little bit of a race on our hands.
Well, we're approaching halfway. I think they had a plan to hook up together and then push their way to the front. So I would say within about 10 laps or so, we're going to be looking at pit stops and then see how this shakes out.
And I'm looking forward to green flag pit stops, because green flag pit stops at Daytona, coming down from 190 miles an hour down to 60, it's not easy, as I have been the example of far too many times.
Well, and there's also the fact that, if we're going to have green flag pit stops, these guys have got to start trying to get single file, because, honestly, we've talked about it as a team before when we're racing. We're racing guys on our outside, and it's like, hey, let's push our stops as long as we can. We'll hold them hostage out there so they can't pit. You don't want to be the person getting held hostage. You've got to, as soon as possible, trying to find a spot to drop down so you don't have to just, drop to the back to find a spot.
But right now, the gap between 6th and 5th is over 6 seconds.
Wow.
And constantly expanding, as Dan Shirley is not necessarily pushing the envelope here, but he's definitely not worried about any kind of, as they're lapping Nick Adams, who's going to take over the Lucky Dog, and he's going to try to join this front group, and I don't see why he wouldn't be capable of it at this point. I'm just not sure what happened to Nick Adams to put him in that position.
Well, I don't know if he got caught up in that second caution like I got caught up in.
Hold on. I have to embarrass Nick. Nick Adams crashed.
Well, that wasn't a good camera angle.
No.
Oh, no, Nick!
That'll do it.
Yeah. Turn fours just don't like Nick.
Well, I think he was trying to get it slowed down to get down the pit road, so I can think up there. So I'm assuming that was before his pits.
That was only about a minute ago.
Puzzle. Oh, no, at least what I'm seeing, it says Nick Adams. Oh, he entered pit lane again. Okay. Here's another idea. He may have had a speeding penalty and was trying to get it checked down to come in and service penalty. Because it definitely looked like it definitely looked like he was on his brakes. And that's honestly the only way I could think of that he'd spin.
So downshifted too fast.
That looks like that may have been slightly assisted, and it was.
Oh, yeah, sure enough. Oh, Dan!
Dan, then William.
Yeah, Dan got him loose, and William finished him off. And Nick doing everything in his power to try to catch it.
Dan put some scratches on Big Red. That's
I used to do everything in my power to not be the one that did it, but Big Red is coming in and getting repainted after tonight.
Yeah, well, I unfortunately had a small incident on pit road as we were rolling off. The inside that line didn't move, and I ran into the back of Ross, and then I got clobbered by someone. I guess someone got out of shape. And then I got caught up in that second caution after using the first fast repair, or my only fast repair. I got engine damage and wasn't able to keep up, so I had to retire.
John, you have a tendency to be the one that gets caught up in the no fault of your own. You just have terrible luck.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, for some reason, in the race setup tonight, Johnny had it set up for open qualifying instead of time lapse. And so all of a sudden everybody said, let's just advance it and see where it goes. So obviously it's going to stack you in the race by your iRating, so I got towards the back.
Oh,
so that's where all the problem is.
Yeah, don't worry, you're probably still higher than me. And definitely higher than Randy. Randy's like a 750. And apparently DRE loves to tell people anytime they get close to him.
It sure does. I get those warnings through my race all the time.
Right now, I'm actually 100% clueless on how this 5-car pack has now opened up over 8.5 seconds over Sean Carmody in 6th place.
Well, they're working together.
Not a single one of them stepped out of line.
No, I wouldn't expect that from any of them, considering
they're letting Josh pull them around.
Yeah, and at this point, I would be the one coming over the radio knowing how well we have all worked together. I don't care that we're all competitors, that with the exception of Dan Shirley and Justin Anderson, everybody's on a different team. These 5 just need to keep working together and just wait to fight.
Well, those top 3 especially, I mean, we have seen that 3. I mean, you see both Burgess and Shirley have kind of had a gap. Oh, I thought we were about to have a caution. That top 3, and I'm also going to put Joe Dinsmore in that, even though he's further back in the field, I mean, are among the best pushers and pullers in the field.
I've not spent much time racing on plate tracks with Blake. I've only got to do it in one race, and yeah, I kind of did it to myself, getting loose in the fuel. But yeah, there's no doubt that when it comes down to racecraft, Blake is at the peak of this league.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, Blake has often said things like, I don't know why you guys pick me for speedways. I'm not very good at them, but yet we always see him running up near the front. I mean, he's got a talent to suit speedways just like he does everything else. I mean, I would say just based on what I've seen, I think Henner's the best in the league at speedways, but they're such a crapshoot. I mean, you never know who's going to win, and I think Blake's among the best in the league.
Oh,
we got pitting.
Yep, this group all decides to come in together. Justin Anderson, that...
did he get it slowed down in time?
That's going to be the question. But I do have to say, taking that shorter line in, getting down below Josh Hanner, that was kind of brilliant. So we're going to get to see which one of these guys got centered in their pit stalls. It looks like they are all in line perfectly, but that made it to where, as Josh Hanner, I think he may have just barely.
Well, it doesn't matter because they, got to get going now, and but not a huge deal. I mean, Hanner lost positions there, but
now Justin Anderson,
Justin's the big winner.
Justin also gets to be the one to pull them for the next.
So I was just watching there right before you changed camera, seeing Blake Gordon kind of almost pushing Hanner down the apron, and I started thinking, I was like, well, of course Blake's doing that. It's the apron's basically a short track, and he's really good at those.
Yeah, there's very few people I'd want behind me coming out of the pits at this track.
Hanner and Blake hit their stalls at the exact same time, so it's going to be them coming off the way they were. All you got to do is make sure he didn't run them over when iRacing decides, hey, you can hit the cars again.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at pit times. Blake's pit time was more than a second faster than Hanner's. Trying to find Justin Anderson, and yeah, Justin's pit time was actually faster than both of them. And of course, his pit lane time was actually slower than theirs, but I think that's because after he may have been speeding a little bit entering pit road, and then it'll kind of push things out.
As we're starting to see him form up 2 lines right now, and no, guys, this is not the right time to do this. We still have 30 laps.
Yeah, they want the bonus points.
Yeah.
Yep, I was just thinking
sense.
that. I think it's 3 bonus points for leading the most laps, or 2. It's one of those. I think it's two bonus points.
Two for leading the most and 1 for leading a lap.
Yeah,
So
but I think
effectively.
yeah, regardless. Yeah, so I think I think at least for Hanner, he's trying to. If he's led a lot of laps tonight, he's trying to get up there and lead some more.
Well, at this point, he leaves Andrew Burgess out to dry. He's going to end up slotting back, but there's Blake looking to get connected with Dan Shirley. And right now, Chris Passini was the big winner on that pit cycle, to where he is currently leading the second pack. But there is such a gap between them right now. They're probably about the entirety of the backstretch separated at this point.
Yeah, if Passini can get up there to work with his teammate of Josh Hanner, I know those guys run some speedway races a lot together. They would be a force to be reckoned with, but man, getting over that, and same as we said about Blake Gordon, I think if Sean Carmody gets up there, that's going to be someone solid to work with. Blake, Justin's got his teammate up there. Who's the closest teammate for Burgess? Got to go back a little ways, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure at this point, Andrew is the only other person that's still in the race, because we ended up losing Mike at this point, is Tim St. Jean, and they're very much separated.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, got to remember, Sean and ZD are still relatively novices to racing 4 wheels. So I'm not sure how much Sean would be able to help Blake if he's not used to drafting and pushing at a super speedway.
Well, I mean, based on my experience, I think both Sean and ZD have been damn solid. But that being the big advantage is not so much. I mean, look, we could get Joe Dinsmore up there. We saw him Blake Gordon working well earlier, but what really helps is having someone on the radio with you and communicate the moves you're going to make. If you can say, I'm about to hop to the outside, and your teammates want to come with you, it makes a lot more moves possible. And
yeah, but watch Sean right there, and you see how much he's bouncing around behind Kevin. That's the inexperience.
I will give you that, and it's especially when you're talking iRacing on these plate tracks, it's really difficult to not fixate on that person's bumper, try to figure out where your other sight lines are. It's one of the benefits that I feel from running in VR is I have the ability to physically turn my head and watch for my exit of turns rather than fixating on the bumper. I can keep that in my mind in the periphery, but that's about it.
Yeah, I don't know if John was experiencing this as well, but you went robot voice on me there, Josh.
Yeah, I've got a freeze on my end.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not a freeze on this end, because it looks like I'm still doing good, and so is my system monitor. So apparently Northeast Ohio's internet's deciding to be terrible right now, as we're starting to see. I don't know if that's me or if it's actually some blinking, but it looked like Steve Gottschalk, as those Steel Horse guys are looking to form up their line, get around Ed Springer, and start joining this other pack in front of them.
Yeah,
we're catching back up.
Yeah, it seems like the connection's a little better now.
Sorry for that 80s flashback with Max Headroom.
But yeah, of course my connection decides to be a little bit stupid right now. But these guys right now, they need to close up that gap to where we can start to see another group forming up, because right now the gap between Andrew Burgess, currently sitting in 5th, and Kevin Haas, it's stagnated for a little while. These guys have actually managed to stabilize the difference, but I think, to John's point, we've got Kevin Haas, who is a longtime sim racer, leading the charge.
Well, you got 3 cars behind them that aren't staying exactly in line, and then not being close enough to give them an effective push. You're going to see that second line led by a steel horse up there. They're going to catch them, and you're going to see them probably pass them.
Well, but I think the big thing is right now, when the gap is bouncing, they're looking at only 10 seconds where it was 11 seconds up to 5th place, probably about 3 laps ago. Where these guys are trying to make it to where it's competitive, because right now, Justin Anderson with Blake Gordon, and that was the perfect time to join them. As Justin goes a little bit low.
Not sure if Blake had a little contact with him coming out of the turn.
But they're just, again, if there's anybody that I want that close to my bumper, and I'm going to trust to be that close to my bumper, actually, I'd say it's pretty much all 5 of these guys.
Yeah, I had Justin riding my bumper for about 10 laps in practice. We had a little bit of fun there.
The only thing that I would worry about with Justin is I would actually worry that Justin, just to laugh a little bit, would end up spinning me.
Yeah, see there, I think Blake was right on his bumper and gave him a little bit extra contact coming off the turn.
Well, and John, this is something that I've noticed with other cars, and I've not spent enough time in this specific car, is the bubble that's going to be in front of Blake right now, being that close. Does it almost have the same effect that actually having contact with the car in front of you would, like some of the other cars?
Yeah, well, it definitely gives some aero effects to the pushed car. But you get close enough, and you can stabilize it out. But you got to be careful. At the closer you get, the faster the closure rate gets.
Okay, so, but again, the group that we're talking about are going to be the ones that are masters of throttle control. And honestly, now that they've seemed to have stabilized with about 1/3 of a car length between them, they're starting to open up that gap once again.
Yeah, as long as they stay in that line, that gap's going to continue to widen. But they know probably about 10 more laps they're going to start pushing hard, and I think we might see one more stop.
I'm hoping so, because that's going to make life a whole lot more interesting, and hopefully it's not an under caution stop, because we've started to see just about everybody, as actually Jason Swan and Kevin Pearson and Chris Oliver are all diving into the pits, where I honestly think, John, you're right, we're going to see one more stop tonight.
Yeah, these guys might be taking advantage of that and saying, okay, let's see what we can make up now.
Well, and without a doubt, if we are looking at one more stop, as I want to come up here, and I'm going to assume that that's just my timing and scoring going strange, but Joe Dinsmore and this group that's running right behind him, they're closing in to where they're under 2 seconds behind, where if they can form up and use some of these lapped cars that are in their way, with Blake Ziti being right there, them going outside, using a bit of his draft, they may be able to get the draft of Chris Piscini here real quick. Did I go robot voice again?
No, you're good. You're absolutely right. As long as they can stay in line, they can make gains. But as soon as someone steps out, that side draft comes into play, and you start slowing everybody down.
And right now, this group of 4, unfortunately, Kevin Haas is probably going to be running low on fuel here soon, to where they're all going to have to go in, to where the only person that's kind of a wild card in this situation is Nick Adams, who's a lap down and seeming to drop off the pace ever so slightly. Looking to see if they may be able to, with, unfortunately, Nick going just a little bit wide on him there and losing the draft. That's not going to help them catch that group.
No, but Nick will be back there in a lap or two. He's reeling them back in.
Well, he's got the ability to probably, with where he is, if he really wanted to, he could probably set the fast lap, but right now that camera angle is perfect. And I'm wondering if maybe that was strategic to drop back a little bit to let Joe Dinsmore get some of his draft to where they can suck up, link up, and start taking the fight forward.
We'll have to see if they're willing to hook up to do that.
I don't see why they wouldn't be at this point. 16 laps.
They're gonna have to.
You'll have that opportunity to later in the race to be able to start fighting for those positions. But as they stand right now, even though it looks like Joe Dinsmore is thinking about trying to form up an outside line, but right now I don't think, unless they think it would be a futile effort.
Okay, guys, leaders are pitting.
The leaders are in the pits. Ooh, that's going to make this even more interesting. As Kevin Haas dives in with them, Chris Piscini, and that has set off a chain reaction as Sean Carmody stays out with the Steel Horse group. And he is going to most likely end up leading a lap at that point. But Joe Dinsmore makes the run on the outside. These guys, the battle right now off of pit road, they've got a little bit of extra space between them there that may end up causing some issues to where Blake Gordon, that should be within the draft, but Andrew Burgess is there, and Joshua Hanner actually may be the one to lose out the most in this process.
Yeah, he might have fallen a little bit too far behind to catch him.
But he has Chris Piscini up right behind him, or if he does start dropping, these
Chris
two
needs to get up to him fast.
Yeah, right now Joshua Hanner has a 4-second gap, and it's ever increasing. But right now Joe Dinsmore is our leader, but still needs to make his final pit stop. Where this is a group of 4 cars, or 3 cars. No, that's 4. Who's off?
Just got Sean coming on the back end of that.
Well, I was just looking at my timing and scoring and trying to figure out who is the one that's not on the lead lap, and that would be Johnny Downey, who's the 3rd car in this pack. Probably just going to run it dry in hopes of pushing his teammates as far as he can. But as we hit 13 laps to go, I think that I don't think there's a way that they would have saved enough fuel to be able to pull this off.
No, they're definitely going to have to come in. There's no way that they're going to make it to the end.
Where right now, Chris Piscini and Joshua Hanner have linked up, but there is such a gap. It is 11 seconds and increasing to where a 2-car pack, no matter how well you end up working together, that's going to be insurmountable.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm not sure what happened on his pit stop to make him fall back so much.
I look at it.
Unless he decided to change tires or get tires and no one else did.
He did. His pit time was 11 seconds.
Well, a lot of people took tires. It wasn't just him. I'd say the majority of the field took tires in their last stop.
Well, our front runners, or effective front runners, did not. This was a fuel only to where Justin Anderson was close to 8 seconds, Dan Shirley was 6.5, and Blake Gordon was close to 8 seconds. So that 4-second difference of taking those tires, it looks like it may have cost Joshua Hanner an opportunity at a win tonight.
We'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's still some racing to go. I am not going to say with 100% confidence with them caution either.
Well, I'm hoping. It looks like everyone has settled in, gotten in their rhythm. But right now, let's take a quick look. And I don't know why it's showing that Adam Wood has a win.
Yeah, there's something that got out of sync. I don't think that's accurate at this point. I can probably get you more up-to-date standings. Mine. Let me just refresh it over here.
But as we cross the stripe with 10 to go, a group of lappers have linked up with our top 3. And the person that actually is going to end up being the one hurt the most by that is Andrew Burgess, who right now, if these guys still have yet to pit, which they do, he's got a lot of people to contest with, and if he ends up losing the draft off of these guys because they all have to dive into the pits, that's going to be problematic for him. As that group in the front has taken and gone in, with the exception of Sean Carmody, who is trying with Ed Springer right now.
Oh, he's coming in.
As he is diving in right now. As that doesn't look like he lost any paint there, but again, Daytona is one of the, in theory, easiest pit lanes to enter, but you don't want to slow down too early, otherwise you're going to lose a lot of extra time. As Sean, coming in from the lead, is going to be passed by this front group. And right now, we've got 8 laps worth of a shootout between Justin Anderson, Dan Shirley, and Blake Gordon. And these guys, again, it's over 10 seconds to Sean Carmody, who's coming out of the pits, about to get passed by Adam Wood, and Johnny Downey, who's a lap down at this point. But this actually may end up being exactly what Josh Hanner needs to at least pull himself up into the top 5. Because these two, Sean is currently just adrift from Adam Wood and Johnny Downey to where these two should be able to catch up quickly. They could all link up and at least get themselves up into the top 5, because Adam Wood only has a single car to help him.
Yeah, it's not the finish that the birthday boy was looking for, but he's getting a solid run in.
Completely forgot. Mr. Adam Wood, it is his birthday today. But honestly, despite the fact that I know he wants to go out and win every plate track, I would say that a 5th place finish on what is a wild card race is a pretty darn good birthday present.
Well, I don't think I'm ready to say that that we're done. I've seen this lead pack up here. They're starting to get a little racy up here, and Blake Gordon was a little bit ago just kind of teasing to the outside, and I think if these guys get side by side, we might have a different race on our hands.
Well, and hopefully it's not going to be a race that brings out a caution. But I think the person that wants to make the move the most right now is Andrew Burgess, because with 3 cars between him and the top 3, we keep seeing him make pops out to the outside. But if he's alone, it's all going to be for naught.
Well, yeah, the position that he's in, if he wants to have a chance of getting up to the front, he's got to go now. Whereas someone like Blake Gordon, he can sit there and wait for a little bit. He doesn't have to go right this minute. And there's no reason for him to go up and help Andrew Burgess at the point either.
No, there's absolutely no reason. But I'm also the person to where if I'm part of that pack of 3 lapped cars that's running with these guys right now, all right, I'm the one that wants to try to make it to where it's a 4-way race for the win tonight. To where I'd be the one, anytime I see Andrew popping out, I'd go with him. But that's just because I like to see people a large fight for the front. But that may just be me.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what happens if Dan plays blocker or if he tries to go for the win. But Blake's going to need a dance partner to help him.
Well, and I'm not 100% sure. I know that Justin is going to be missing some races through the chase. I don't know which ones. And there is the chance that that could be Dan's entire goal, is to make sure he gets that win.
Well, yeah, for Justin to get the win. What I've heard, Dan Shirley's not going to be in the chase. We haven't highlighted he is currently in, but I did hear from an admin earlier today that he had chosen to.
Oh, his caution is out. Oh, that's going to make this nice and spicy.
Yeah.
And it looks like Joe Dinsmore is the one that was involved in that. Oh, he just gets...
Had a little contact.
He just gets turned. So let's go back. Oh, Brandon Bernhardt just gets a little bit of the bumper. And
admin chat's going to be spicy tonight.
oh, that's going to be a fly on the wall for that one. But that is the last thing that Justin Anderson was wanting to see at this point.
I agree. This is going to really make this one interesting. He's going to have Blake on his bumper for the restart. Well, I don't know. If they do a lane choice, he might decide to make sure he's got someone else behind him and put Blake behind Dan.
Oh, John, you shouldn't say that. Some people actually listen to the broadcast while they're racing.
Yeah, well, they shouldn't be doing that. They should be focusing on racing.
The only one that I know is always out there is Derek Schilling, and sometimes we'll throw him some information, but honestly, I know for a fact that Justin has already thought of that. and he knows exactly what he's doing. But he has enough as, yeah, I watched,
playing games.
I was just like, there's no way Blake's actually doing that.
Oh,
But
no.
as we're under caution, let's go ahead. Let's hear from the Guitar Addict, because we haven't had many opportunities for commercials tonight.
Hi, I'm Brady from the Guitar Addict. Can we be serious for a second? Are you tired of being a loser? Can't do anything right? Feel like everyone's coming down on you all the time? Well, there's a way out. And I'm going to show you. Hey Mom, look what I learned. That's right. Pick up a guitar, learn how to play guitar. Automatically you're going to become a chick magnet. The ladies are going to love you. Your kids are going to think you're cool. So what you need to do is come down here to the Guitar Addict, 1672.5 Ridgewood Avenue in Daytona Beach, Florida, or go on guitaraddict.com and buy yourself a guitar and automatically be the star of your neighborhood. That's guitaraddict.com.
Alright, and we are back, and I need to inspect something here because it looks like we may have had an incident under caution. And my guess is it was just a quick checkup. No, that is... Alright,
Was that Johnny Downey that...
That was... I'm just perplexed.
Almost looks like he downshifted or something and got the car out of shape.
I mean, that's not what you want to see there, though. Hitting a chase contender. That's that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I think he was just going to the... Yeah, that is the only honest explanation there is... Especially on those high banks. That's really going to be the only thing I could figure... Because if you do get a little...
You can gas it up a little too hard and spin it, but I don't know. That was odd.
Yeah,
Kind of hard to spin it uphill.
Yeah, and trust me, I've had my share of times I've had to try to turn around on these banks.
It almost kind of looked like Juan Pablo Montoya hitting the jet dryer.
Watching the Formula One race today, I was waiting for a joke about that, but...
I was going to say Johnny's picked a bad time to play tag. You're it.
No, that's one of those unfortunate things that he's a lap down at this point, but I'm not sure what's going on here because you don't normally see that kind of a gap to the pace car.
What happened with Dan?
Question.
Yeah, that's...
Or did he just drop out knowing that he wasn't going to be in the chase and he was going to get out of the way of the race?
Honestly, knowing the gentleman that is Dan Witt, that'd be my
That's
guess.
Dan Shirley, right?
Oh, Dan
Yeah,
Shirley.
Dan Shirley.
He was having connection issues on Wednesday as well, as they are off. And we've got a 2-lap shootout right now, as Adam Wood is looking to see if he may be able to get himself up onto the podium, getting alongside Blake Gordon, and he is not going away as he runs up, and that's giving Justin Anderson the opportunity to just run, as right now Adam Wood is being joined by Josh Hanner, and
He's being left behind by Josh Hanner.
As Josh Hanner also has Chris Piscini. And, oh, that's going to make this very interesting because just about everyone, Andrew Burgess is currently separating Blake from his only teammate at the front, Sean Carmody. And
well, you know, we've said this all night. We got the close circuit guys up on the outside, but it doesn't matter how good you are. If it's just two of you, you ain't going to make that much happen.
yeah, as Chris Piscini drops down to the low line, both of them do. And the only hope that they have right now is to get themselves set to make a late run coming out of 4 as there they go. As Blake is right on the bumper of Justin Anderson. Hopefully we don't get a little bit of a push here, but Justin is under so much pressure right now as Kevin Haas goes out and blocks a little bit of that high lines run, but Justin Anderson gets himself high and is going to be able to block just about anything that Blake Gordon does. And Justin Anderson comes across the line as our winner tonight in the first round of the AOLL Cup chase.
We got people wrecking further back. Adam Wood, Ed Springer, both, or actually at least one of them in chase. Is Ed in chase?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Now the question is did they get that in before?
I'm pretty sure that was at the entrance to pit road. I could be wrong. Just switched over to it real quick.
I was going to say,
It's not showing any passes, so I'm assuming it was after that. I really thought it was before, based on what I was seeing.
Yeah, because I've got nothing there.
Yeah.
But right now, as we're waiting, as there goes Blake just across the infield, why not? Waiting for results to go ahead and catch up. It looks like we may not. We're waiting on a few people to make their way across the line before I can actually get my results.
I think we're almost there.
I was going to say, we've got...
Dan Shirley is... I think Dan Shirley just finished up his last lap, and then we got Dan Wood, I think, is...
he's turfing the backstretch.
Well...
All right, the results are officially in. Right now, we have Justin Anderson as our winner, Blake Gordon in second, Andrew Burgess third, Sean Carmody fourth, Kevin Haas fifth, Joshua Hanner in sixth, Chris Bassini seventh, Tony Pandon eighth, Steve Goschalk ninth, Adam Wood in 10th.
And 11th, we have Brian McFerrin. 12th, Ed Springer. 13th, Tim St. Jean. 14th is Randy Pepper. 15th, Chris Oliver. 16th, Ross Gage. 17th, Justin Edwards. 18th, Stephen Dominy. 19th is Brandon Bernhardt. And in 20th is Joe Dinsmore.
All right, 21st is Don Warnke. 22nd, Dan Shirley. 23rd, Nick Adams. 24th, Dan Witt. 25th, Mike Bass. 26th, Johnny Downey. 27th is Kevin Pearson. 28th is Kevin Pearson. 29th, Jason Swan. 30th, Blake Ziti. 31st, Derek Schilling. 32nd, Mike Burgess. 33rd, Justin Rodden. And rounding out the field, our special guest tonight, John Gordon. All right. So let's go ahead and bring up our winner. Hey, Justin, this is Josh, John, and Carl in the booth. You got a copy?
I do indeed. How y'all doing?
Well,
Doing good, sir. Doing good.
We went from not expecting to see you to getting to talk to you first.
Yeah, Blake can be persuasive, so, he did convince me to run, and it turned out to be a really cool race, like strategy-wise up front. So Blake pushed me to the win, obviously, but it was Blake, Hanner, Daniel Shirley, Andrew Burgess, and me. And the five of us, we got just a little bit of a gap, and then they started battling for sixth on back. And so the five of us just started to pull away. And it was really cool to see how disciplined everyone was. Like, everyone just kind of understood what the mission was. And all the way through that pit stop, we just stayed in line and managed to drive away. And that really kind of set the stage for the rest of the race. So it was cool to see without being able to talk to each other, because none of us were in the same Discord, that we all kind of understood the mission and made it happen.
Oh, you could tell. As we sat there and watched you guys stay in line, no one broke out of line, and just put yourselves with a gap that, honestly, I wouldn't ever expect to see in this league at this track.
Yeah, thankfully, again, Andrew Burgess and Dan Shirley are great drafters in addition to Hannah and Blake. And so we were all managing the gap well enough that Blake would kind of push the bubble up to me so that I could push the bubble up to Hannah. And I didn't have to push him around the track, but I could be just a breath off of his bumper and we were gone.
Yeah.
So I've got to ask you, Justin, you know, we saw there at the end, you guys kind of finished single file, and I know you were moving your car around a lot, but are you surprised that more people didn't get out of line and try to make some moves there?
Well, so I was hoping, honestly, to get Adam. You know, Adam was starting outside behind me, so I was hoping that I'd be able to get him clear. And when that didn't happen, I was worried, but Andrew Burgess didn't have any real allegiance to Blake or me, so I would assume that Blake probably wasn't sure which direction Andrew would go. And if you're one car trying to go on the outside, you drop back so quickly, just like what happened with Adam. So yes, I was worried that Blake would make a move. Of course, he also just wanted a good finish too. And if I were in second place, based on what I need for the chase, I probably would have just pushed him to the win. So he probably had the same thought process in mind as well.
So we did bring it up during the broadcast. We know that you're missing some races through this process. Is it going to be any of these races in this first section?
So because of what's going on with the pandemic, actually, my vacation did get canceled. So I will actually not be missing races in the chase anymore. So winning was really important over the individual phases, because I thought I was going to miss a race the next round and the round after that. But now that I'm not, you know, I'm in it to win it now.
Well, I mean, you have the automatic entry into next week or into the next round, so you can slack off for 2 weeks.
No, there is no slacking off in this league. I need to make sure that Blake and Hannah and Joe and Adam don't get too comfortable thinking I'm going to ride her out of the back the rest of the time.
But it'd make our lives more entertaining.
I just out of curiosity, I know I could hear on the team Discord that there was a lot of battling in the second pack. Was it as intense as it sounded in the communications?
There was a lot of just everybody trying to get the best position they could and running side by side instead of working in a single line to catch back up to you. So the gap that you and the rest of the top five created was almost pretty much insurmountable without a caution.
Yeah, thankfully, no offense, Josh, but thankfully we didn't CCR the green flag pit stops, so we did manage to get on and off pit road pretty cleanly. I was a little bit disappointed that Hannah dropped back the second stop, but getting out of your pit stall when you are on old tires is tough, and especially when you're in the first pit stall, because typically in the first pit stall you could just go. You don't have to worry about maintaining pit speed at any point, because if you full-blown accelerate off a pit road, you typically hit pit road speed right as you hit the end of the line. So my guess is he dropped the jet, or not the jet, we weren't changing tires, but I'm guessing that as soon as his crew chief said to go, he nailed it with the thought process of I'm the pole sitter and I can just go, and that cost him some time. So that was unfortunate. It was really fun running with him.
So some people definitely seem to have taken tires. Quite a few people took tires, unless they just took really long stops for fuel. And we had lots of 10-plus second stops, and Hannah was one of them that one time.
Oh, he may have taken tires, and I did not.
Seems to me they took right side tires.
Yeah, I don't know if I was pitted right behind Blake, and I did not see his jack go up on any pit stop, so I'm assuming that he had the same strategy I did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Blake didn't even think about changing tires at all for this race.
Yeah, this is a great way for me to start off the chase. I did not start off the chase well last year, so, fingers crossed.
Yeah, and on the flip side of it, hey, I'm in last tonight.
But your progeny finished second, so hey, do we at least get to average them out?
I expected him to be there.
So did I. I expect him to be there every race.
No, it was a great run tonight.
Yeah, definitely an entertaining run to watch you guys work together without being able to communicate. It was a good run.
Yeah, it's kind of like Dale Jr. and Tony Stewart. Like Blake and I on plate tracks specifically, he and I always end up racing around each other, and the moves when I see him make moves, it's the move I would have made if I was in that situation. So I always like racing with him on plate tracks. I hadn't really raced that much with Hannah on a plate track before, but I really enjoyed running behind him that whole run too.
So what you're saying, based on age, you're Tony Stewart?
Oh yeah, I don't remember how old they were when that was happening, but I'm certainly far older than Blake is. I'll be hitting ye old racing retirement home long before he does.
Well, I'm hoping to not see it anytime soon, because more races like tonight and I'll be happy.
Well, if the finish stays this way, I'd be happy too.
Well, I mean, you got yourself off to the best start possible this year, and honestly, that's all the more you can ask for. I don't even know who ended up leading the most laps, but we had a good conversation about that. Was why you guys wanted to get Hanner behind you, is you just wanted to lead the most laps.
Actually, I would have been fine with Hanner up in front of me, because when Blake was behind me, like I said, the three of us were able to manage the gap really, really well. And I would have been fine pushing Hanner, frankly, all the way to the checkered flag if I needed to, because a third place finish at a restrictor plate track, it is a, it's always a crapshoot where you're going to finish. The cars are all equal, and it's, kind of luck of the draw. So to win the race requires more luck and circumstance than like speed and skill. So when you have a circumstance where it is Hanner and then me and then Blake, and we're, able to make it work like that, I'd be fine finishing in second place and pushing him to the win if it means that I get second place points. So it was I actually would have been fine with him getting off pit road cleanly, so that we could have just kind of kept a good thing going. But I'm fine with winning too, let's be honest.
Yeah. So we're off to Darlington next week.
No, we're off to Darlington in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Sorry, I keep forgetting that there's a holiday next week. So
does my throwback car have to be UPS still?
No, I'll let you get away with it.
Okay.
And I won't change it myself.
So Darlington, I'm looking forward to, because the last time we were at Darlington, I qualified on the pole, and then I had a black screen coming to the green flag, and so I ended up barely getting back onto the lead lap. The league allowed me to kind of get some laps back because there were some early cautions. So I'm interested to see what I can do. I think Hanner won that race. I'm interested to see how I stack up on a green flag running at Darlington against these guys who are so good when I don't start out the race with issues.
It'll be fun to watch.
I'm looking forward to it, but great run tonight. Got to save some time for everybody else.
Yep.
We love chatting with you, and
have a good night, y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Two.
All right. Let's bring up the other Mr. Gordon of the night. Hey, Blake, you've got Josh, John, and Carl in the booth. You got a copy?
Of course. What's going on?
Well, we have Proud Dad in the booth with us tonight because he gave us some insight into the setup and everything. And you know what? It's always fun to have him in the booth with us.
Yeah, I was wondering where he ran off to, and then I pulled up the broadcast after the race and heard his voice. And I was like, oh, that's where. I hate it when he gets caught up in early trouble. I feel like if there's one guy in this league who ends up in more trouble before, like, even the quarter way mark, it's him. It's my dad. It sucks to see, but that kind of comes with the territory sometimes.
Well, if we didn't have open qualifying tonight, I don't think I'd be back where I was.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, I benefited from open qualifying. I know what to do to qualify at these plate tracks, but I still can't qualify top 5. So starting second tonight was pretty great. But
he had that small deficit too with the iRacing scoring up after that second caution. But
I don't know.
Working with the top 5 group and going to town on it.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there with the iRacing scoring. There was a wreck. Basically coming across the start-finish line, one of the restarts. I went in to top off. I come out of the pits, and iRacing's like, get to the back of the line. So I don't know what happened there. But, from there, it was just trying to get back to the front. This package was absolutely terrible. I don't know what iRacing is doing by making us race with this horrible of a plate package. It's not great at all. You can't make the outside lane work. You need 5 or 6 cars to do anything. And Yeah, I mean, it's just that's easily the worst plate race I've ever driven. It's just not fun. I'm happy to finish second, but like the actual racing itself is miserable.
Well, but it seemed like once we saw you guys break away in that 5-car pack, and it looked like you guys were having an absolute blast and working well together.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was that one restart where we pulled away and we had like almost 10 seconds on the field by the time the green flag pit stops came up. And that's just because like the 5 of us knew how to get the draft going. And I think the best order of things was any combination of Justin, Hanner, and myself being the front 3 cars in line. I just noticed when one of us was second and the other one was leading, like there was not as much checking up as there was. Like when Justin was in first and then Shirley was in second, there was a lot more like checking up, a lot more lifting than I would have liked to have done. That wasn't present when Hanner was leading and then Justin was second before the first round of green flag pit stops tonight.
It seemed like everybody was maintaining a little bit of gap to keep the engines cool.
I'm telling you, there was going to be no issues with overheating tonight. This is the first plate race where I've never even seen the oil tint blink, not once. It never went red the whole night, so that was not going to be an issue. It's just you couldn't get past the bubble, and if you did, it was just very hard to stay locked up. Of course, the guy in front had to be really, really steady. And then the guy behind just had to be smart with the throttle and brake movements to stay, right tucked up. Because if you come out of the throttle, even just for a split second, you're going right to the back. Like, you're going to fall too far behind.
Well, no less. It was a clinic that the front 5 for that first stint put on of how to stay in line as I knock my headset off. And if you watch the rear pack, if they would have gotten themselves in line, worked together, and not worried about their own positions, they would have been able to catch you guys, because we were talking about 10 to 15 cars that, had they even had a quarter of the cooperation that you guys had, it would have been a much larger fight at the end.
Yeah, no doubt. I know earlier in the race I was trying to work with Joe to make the outside work, and you just have to be so aggressive side drafting, and it was just so hard to make any ground. Really, the only time we made ground is when the inside line had their big checkup. So, yeah, I mean, really the only way to race tonight was be single file, and then just kind of, I don't know. It was just, to me, it seemed like it was going to be almost impossible to even make up positions. So once we got that breakaway, I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'm not going to be at Darlington. I'm taking a provisional that night. So second place, third place, fourth place points even. That's a good night for me. So it is what it is. Justin and I work really well together on the plate track. So was glad to be able to work with him and push him to the win. And if I ducked out of line, there's zero chance of me winning that race. And I'm perfectly cool with that. I will take a second every time we come here.
Well, and that brings up a very interesting situation with you right now. If you're missing next week, that may ultimately leave it to where you need a win at Bristol to make your way through, even with second place points tonight.
It's going to be close, but if you look at the current point standings, I think I've got 56 points over the cut. And it's the top 12 that advance. So, I mean, I'm feeling pretty confident I'm not going to drop in the bottom.
Yeah, but Blake's will be fine. I mean, if we didn't have provisionals, that'd be one thing. But Blake should be fine as long as he has a decent run at Bristol. Doesn't have to be a win, or I think a top 10 would be enough.
Yeah, I mean, good thing, Daytona and Bristol aren't like the two tracks that if you had to ask me what tracks would the most chaos happen, it's Daytona and Bristol. So the key there is going to be qualify up front and stay there the whole race, because, I didn't think I'd ever say this about Daytona, but I feel like we're going to be able to pass easier at Bristol than we could tonight.
Yeah, those are words I never thought I would hear anyone ever say.
No, yeah, I don't. It's weird, man. Like this package tonight, it was just, like I said, it's just the most unfun package I've ever driven on a plate track. I get it, they're shooting for realism, but I mean, we all saw the race last night. Didn't look like that tonight. The outside actually worked. So whatever they're working on, they got a lot more work to do. But you know, the next gen car is coming out next year anyway, so I guess it's a moot point because plate races are all but over after Talladega. So, but anyway, I'm happy to be back in Cup. I was gonna miss racing with the team, and most of all, my dad. So glad we got back in Cup and kind of gonna finish out the year here and see what happens. Got a lot of guys gunning for me.
Well, hopefully I can avoid other people's stuff, and then we can actually have some fun racing.
Yeah, I hope so.
You did a great job tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have to second that, and I really want to take the opportunity to. Hopefully, missing a race isn't gonna screw you over too much, but we know you're gonna fight back. You've got quite a few weeks left to make sure you can make it through.
If I was taking the provisional like in the second round or third round, yeah, I'd be a little bit more concerned. So luckily I'm missing, the race in the first round, but I don't want to go on my rant about why this playoff system is terrible. But I mean, you have guys in the playoffs who took 13 provisionals the first 26 races, and you can miss one in the last, 6, and that's your championship right there. So to me, that doesn't really seem like it makes a whole lot of sense.
We'll have to put some smart minds on figuring out a better one, but.
Oh, trust me, I've brainstormed a couple that Brandon and Nick know about. Just anything I think is better than this. You got to take into consideration, we're not professionals. We have lives. It would suck to do this for like almost 30, 40 some weeks, and then you miss one race in the playoffs, and that's it. To me, yeah, I mean the championship's just bragging rights and everything, but it's still nice to work towards something. It's nice to have that goal. That's what we're all talking about right now, and there's just not a lot of leeway in the last 10 races if you have to miss a week or so.
Oh, but great run tonight. We'll talk to you, I'm sure, again in 2 weeks again. But glad to see you back, and have yourself a good night, sir.
Thanks, guys. You guys enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks for doing the broadcast. Dad, hope you don't end up in the broadcast booth as often. I know it's bad enough listening to Carl in the race, so. I'm kidding, Carl.
You hurt my feelings.
I'm sorry.
The bromance is over.
He's not picking me anymore. But anyway, yeah, you guys have a great night. I will talk to you guys, I guess, maybe hopefully tomorrow night in Fuel. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that'll be a fun night.
Yep.
So.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Yeah. See you
later, Blake.
All right, let's just real quickly bring up Andrew Burgess. Hopefully quickly, but I know he's another fun one to have in the booth. Hey, Andrew, this is Josh, John, and Carl in the booth. You got a copy?
I do. How's it going, guys?
Great run tonight. So we aren't doing as well as you are tonight. So.
Yeah, I kind of surprised. I hate plate racing, but, simple goal tonight was just stay in line and not get in a wreck.
You definitely ended up linking up with the right group to achieve the latter of those.
Yeah, it was good to get hooked up with those guys, and then when we broke away, it was just like stay in line and ride it out.
After your last pit stop, it looked like you got stuck behind a couple lap cars, but you could maintain yourself with that front pack. Were you worried that you weren't going to be able to get back up there to contend your spot?
Yeah, I was trying everything I could to get around them, but no one behind you. There's no way to get a run to get by anyone there. So I didn't think I was going to have a chance to battle for the win at the end there, and that light yellow came out, and I was like, uh-oh, this could be trouble.
Well, it worked to your advantage.
Definitely. Yeah, I'll take her.
Now, as we were wrapping up the night, I definitely wanted to give you the opportunity to at least celebrate on air, because as much fun as we've ever had chatting with you, it's unfortunate that we don't get to see you up here very often in this situation.
No, I've seen they get a lot of bad luck, and there's a lot of fast guys here now, so it's hard to get a top 5.
Well, and you're lucky that you tend to not have the same luck that our special guest tonight has, but yeah, we do see you. We see you and end up in the messes more often than you deserve.
Yeah, it happens from time to time, but oh well. We look forward to the chase and hopefully stay clean through the chase and maybe stay in some kind of contention here.
Well, and tonight's definitely going to give you that opportunity. As we look at the standings, honestly, you're above everyone that doesn't have a win. So the only reason the other guys are in front of you is that exact reason. Those bonus points for winning.
Yeah, definitely. And, guys like Blake, Justin, and Joshua, quite a few wins. So, yeah, gives them a good little head start.
Oh, and honestly, over the rest of the field, tonight's given you a fantastic head start.
Yeah, absolutely. So I figure if I can top 5, top 10 it, I should be able to get to the second round here at least.
Well, you get a week off, and then we head to 2 tough tracks in Darlington and Bristol. How would you assess your chances at Darlington?
I like racing Darlington. Never seen how much luck there, so that's gonna be a crapshoot. Bristol could be really fun, but anything can happen on a short track too, and get in trouble. You can end up laps down quick.
You're off to a solid start right now in this round of the chase. Be hopeful that you can keep it up.
Yeah, hopefully. Good way to start it, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, again, great run from you tonight. Hopefully we'll get to chat with you more, but definitely seeing you sitting in 4th in the points right now is happy making for probably not just myself, but you as well.
Oh, definitely. Yep. Yeah, this first round such a crapshoot with these 3 tracks, so be interesting to see what happens.
No, but thank you for your time, sir, and hopefully we'll get to chat with you again in the coming weeks.
Right on. Thanks for having me, guys, and congrats again to Justin.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
Yep.
All right, that is gonna do it for us here tonight at Ghostfire Media. The first round of the chase is done, but we've got a lot of racing ahead of us. But we will be off this coming week from the Cup Series. You'll get to see us tomorrow night for Fuel. We will have Wednesday night the Sportsman, AOLL Sportsman. We will have the TNT on Thursday. We're currently working on a little something fun for the podcast since it's a holiday week. We don't really want to do too much, but we've got an idea for a fun race we will be broadcasting. And that'll actually do it for us for the next week. So thank you everyone for watching. I'm Josh Laston. And
I'm John Gordon.
Earl Henderson here.
And thank you very much for watching, and have yourself a good